Hello everyone, my name is Nana and I'm from the Buddhi Academy. So today we'll start with a new lesson, and that is light. So in your 7th standard, you'll have seen about the light that is reflected through a plane mirror. So we'll see further about these things in this chapter, that is light. So the whole world is largely known through the senses. So we have senses, right? We have hearing sense, we have smelling sense, we can see, that is also a sense. Taste sense, there are various kinds of sense. So the sense of sight is one of the most important senses. So sense of sight is that we could see, that is one of the important sense. Through it we see mountains, rivers, trees, plants. Even because of our eyes we could see the person in front of us or the things that are in front of us. So it is a very important sense to human beings. So we could see many other things around us. So it also helps us to see like clouds, rainbows, birds flying in the sky, everything. At night we see the moon and the stars also. So you're able to see the words and sentences printed on these pages. So these are the things. So because of our sight or because of our eyes, we could see all the possible things in front of us. So what makes things visible to us? Why we are able to see these things? So only looking at it or only with eyes we can see them? No. To see them, it means that eyes alone can't see any object. Okay. In dark we could see something? No. Unless and until there is some kind of light, we can't see the object in front of us. So alone eyes can't see any object. It is only when light from an object, excuse me, sorry, so it means that eyes alone can't see any object. It only sees when light from an object enters our eyes that we see the object. So the light may have been emitted by the object or may have been reflected by it. So we can only see an object once if the light falls directly on that object or it has an reflection. When the light falls, the reflected thing we observe. Similarly, we can also see an object. So unless and until there is some kind of light, we can't see any object. So you have learned in class 7, as I said, that a polished or a shiny surface can act as a mirror. A mirror changes the direction of light that falls on it. You can tell in which direction the light falling on the surface will be reflected. So in your 7th standard, you have learned that any shiny or smooth polished surface can reflect light, or it can act as a mirror, as it can reflect light which can be observed by eyes and we could see the things. So one among is the law of reflection. So what is the law of reflection? To understand it, there is a small activity that is carried out. Okay, on a white sheet of paper, okay, so you have to take a cardboard or any board, you have to fix a paper of sheet over it. Take a comb, you know, right? Take a comb and close all its openings except one in the middle. So you have to take a board, white paper, and to close all the bristles except one bristle. Okay, you have to keep one bristle, rest all you have to close. You can use a strip of black paper for this purpose. So to close the bristles, you can use a black paper, and we have to keep only one bristle as shown in the diagram. So here you can see they have closed all the bristles, only one they have kept open. So hold a comb perpendicular to the sheet of paper. So you have to hold it perpendicular. Now if this is a sheet of paper, you have to hold it perpendicular to the paper. Okay, and then throw light from a torch through the opening of the comb from one side. So from one side, similarly here you can see this is the white paper and they've kept the comb. So from one end they have passed the light. okay, through the opening, only one opening which they have kept, through that they are passing the light. With slight adjustment of the torch and the comb, you will see a ray of light along the paper on the other side of the comb. So once you pass a light through this, you can see that the light is passing to the other side. A straight line is formed, right? Then you have to keep a mirror or a reflecting surface on the path of the light which will reflect. So this is the reflection. So the light is passed through the comb, it fall on the mirror and then it is reflected. So this is a reflecting surface. So as after striking the mirror, the ray of light is reflected in another direction. So once this light have been passed and once it strike the mirror, it changed its direction, right? It got reflected. So the light ray which strikes the surface is called incident ray. So this light which is passed through the mirror and which strikes the mirror, this is known as incident ray. The ray that comes back from the surface after reflection is known as reflected ray. So once this incident ray strikes the mirror, it got reflected. So this one is the reflected ray. Okay, so this is the incident ray and this is the reflected ray. So using that, draw a line showing the position of the plane mirror and the incident ray and the reflected ray on the paper. Okay, so with respect to this, if we draw it on a plain paper, how it will be? So this will be the mirror. Okay, this is the plane mirror. This is a non-reflecting surface. Now you have to mark the center. If I mark this as the center point. Okay. So from here, okay, so this is my incident ray. If I put a torch or a light source here, you can consider this dot as a light source. Light source can be torch or sunlight. Okay, so this is my incident ray. So what is this? This is my incident ray. Once it touches the surface of the mirror, it gets reflected. So from here, the light comes here. So this is the reflected ray. Okay, this is the reflecting surface or the plane surface from where the light is reflected. So this is how a reflecting diagram can be shown. So here, and the line which is in the center or the median, this one is the normal. This is the normal. Okay, remove the mirror and the comb. Draw a line making an angle of 90 degree to the line representing the mirror at the point where the incident ray strikes the mirror. This line is known as the normal. So this is the line of normal where the incident ray comes and strikes and the reflection takes place. So this particular line is the normal. The angle between the normal and the incident ray is called the angle of incidence. So this particular angle between the normal and incident ray, this is angle of incidence. Okay, that is angle of incidence. The angle between the normal and the reflected ray is known as angle of reflection. So this angle is angle of reflection. So this is angle of incidence and this is angle of reflection. Okay, so this is angle of incidence and angle of reflection. So measure of angle of incidence and the angle of reflection. Now you have to measure the angle of reflection and angle of incidence. Now you have to repeat the whole activity again and again, and you have to fill this table. Once you fill this table, you'll observe that the angle of incidence is always equal to the angle of reflection, and this is known as the law of reflection. So it is said that the angle of incidence is always equal to the angle of reflection, and that is the law of reflection. So what is the law of reflection? Law of reflection says angle of incidence is always equal to angle of reflection. Okay, so in whichever angle this incident ray comes, that particular angle is maintained for the reflection. Okay, this is the law. So there is okay, in our activity 16.1, what we have seen, we have used a sheet of paper. Again, in same activity, you have to change the sheet of paper to a stiff or a chart paper. The sheet project a little beyond the edge of the table. Cut the projecting portion of the sheet in the middle, looking at the reflected ray. Make sure that the reflected ray extends to the projected portion of the paper. Bend that part of the projected portion on which the reflected ray falls. So what you have to do, you have to take a chart paper or the stiff sheet paper. You have to pass the light, similarly in our previous activity, and we have to see this line where the light falls, which is perpendicular to the normal. You have to tear that part. See, so incident ray, reflected ray and the normal at the point of incidence lie in the same plane. So everything, it lies in the same plane. Now you can see, right, this is the incident ray, this is the reflected ray, and this is the normal. Everything lies in the same plane. So when the whole sheet of paper is spread on the table, it represents one plane. So this represents one plane. So everything, it falls in one plane. So the incident ray, the normal at the point of incidence, and the reflected ray all lies in the same plane. So when you bend the paper, you create a plane different from the plane in which the incident ray and the normal lie. So when you bend this paper, you change the plane. Okay, then you do not see the reflected ray. Once you bend this part, you won't be able to see the reflected ray. Okay, this indicates another law, that is the incident ray, the normal at the point of incidence, and the reflected ray all lie in the same plane. This is another law of reflection. So what is first law? One law says that the ray of incidence is equal to the ray of reflection. The second point is the angle of incidence or the ray of incidence the ray of incidence, the normal and ray of reflection. All lies in one plane. Okay, this is another law. Now, so instead of torch, you can use sunlight as a source of light, as I have told you earlier. So in class 7, you have studied some features of images of an object formed by the plane mirror. So was the image erect or upside down? So on the plane mirror, okay, the image is always erect. Always erect. Was it of the same size as the object? It's equal to the size of the object. So the size is same size. Okay. Did the image appear at the same distance behind the mirror as the object was in front of it? No, it appeared far behind the mirror. It appeared far. Could it be obtained on a screen? Yes, it can be obtained on a screen. Okay. So here there is one more activity. A source of light O is placed in front of a plane mirror PQ. Two rays OA and OC are incident on it. So this is the light source, this is the plane mirror. Two light incidents, that is OA and OC, are on the mirror. So there are two incident rays. Okay. Now you have drawn a normal to both of them. Draw normals on the surface of mirror PQ at the point of A and C. So now we have drawn a normal here. So this is the normal for A and this is the normal for C. Now, then draw the reflected rays at the point of A and C. So once you draw a normal, so this is the normal for A. Once the normal for A is drawn, you have to draw a reflected ray. So this AB is the reflected ray for the OA incident light, and CD is the reflected ray for OC incidence. So the reflected rays are AB and CD respectively. So do they meet now? If they meet, mark this point as I. For the viewers, I at E. Do the reflect. So both of these lines, they meet here. So this is the meeting point. So do the reflected rays appear to come from the point I? Since the reflected rays do not actually meet at I but only appear to do so, we say that the virtual image of the O is formed at I. So here the reflected rays doesn't meet, but once we join this line, we say that it forms a virtual image. So this is what you have learnt in standard 7th. So you may recall that in an image formed by a mirror, the left of the object appears on the right and the right appears on the left. So whenever you stand in front of a mirror, your right side on the mirror, it appears to be on the left side, right? So this is known as lateral inversion. So in today's class, what we have seen is, we have seen about light, then we have seen laws of reflection. So what is an incident ray, what is a reflected ray, then what is the law, that is angle of incidence is always equal to the angle of reflection. Then we have seen angle of incidence, angle of reflection. Then we have seen another law, that is the incident ray, the normal and the reflected ray all lies on the same plane. Then we have seen what is lateral inversion. So these are the things. So thank you for watching my video. Please do like, share and subscribe to our channel.